If you're a virgin with hormone surgeon, keep on your undies and call Bud Bundy's Virgin Hotline. I'm Mr. Wildcat, and today we're going to review a very interesting episode of Married Children. It is the seventh episode to come out of season 9, titled Dial B for Virgin, directed by Amanda Burse, recorded on October 7th, 1994, original air date October 16th, 1994. This is a very interesting episode, and I will talk more about it when I get to my review. But the one thing I will add before we could get into the action is this is the first episode of Married Children that I remember watching when I first came across the show 20 years ago in 2002. I remember watching the show on FX, this particular episode to be exact. And then shortly afterwards, I found the show in syndication, and I wind up and once which it basically aired at like 9:30 p.m. at night in the spring of 2002, and I basically had remembered Married Children being on during its original run. Being a childhood growing up, I was a big fan of The Simpsons back in the early years when I was a kid. And I remember Married Children being on, but I was never allowed to watch it, and I did not really have much of an idea what the show was about. But my parents, being the idi- being the uptight conservatives that they are, they basically said that would not allow me to watch Married Children, and it was even bad enough that I wasn't even allowed to watch The Simpsons a couple of times after reciting certain lines of the show. But nevertheless, that's why don't we go ahead and get back into this? Why don't we let's get the show into action, shall we? We start off in the Bundy living room. Alice on the couch. He's watching television. He's flicking around, and he's only able to find one show that's on TV. Okay. And now, stay tuned for the show Too Good for Television. Wayne's Wings. We now return to Wayne's. Our Wayne's Marathon. Wayne's. Oh, I'd cancel my cable if I wasn't stealing it from the Darcys. Now, basically, that last channel that he was watching, we know it's a foreign language channel. We don't. I'm pretty sure it's not Spanish. It's probably one of those Oriental channels, mostly Japanese or Chinese. And don't have me get into that other phrase because that's completely inappropriate. But moving on, we have Al. He's sitting there frustrated because he doesn't like Wayne's. Neither do I. And and he can't find anything else to watch other than that. So he turns off the television. Bud comes in. He's got a textbook and notebook. He just basically had just come back from college, from a day at school. Dad, I need to talk to you. I did something stupid. Oh no! Don't tell me you got married. Oh God, no! I signed up for volunteer work at school. They sign you they sign you to a charity where you can do volunteer work for extra credit. I originally signed up for Save the Brazilian Rainforest. I wanted to see naked women out of Rio. Oh, bud, you can see that you can see that during the Brazilian hot gacho night at the Newly Bar. Anyway, the Save Brazilian Rainforest got filled up by the football team, so they assigned me to the only charity that was left, which was it's too embarrassing to talk about. Luckily, word hasn't spread yet. Kelly then comes in. She spills the. She knows, and she's about to spill the beans. Hey, Daddy, guess what? Bud has been assigned to the Virgin Hotline. Well, of course, we know that the word has spread to the old mattress behind the Y. Virgin Hotline? What the hell is a Virgin Hotline? Bud? Oh, it's a group that tries to talk you out of having sex. You know about that, don't you? No, what hell I created it. No, I mean this is talk about sex before marriage. So so then Jefferson comes in. He's apparently had heard about the. Apparently they're doing radio. They're doing commercials on the radio for the Virgin Hotline, and Jefferson had heard that Bud's on the Virgin Hotline. Hey, Bud, I heard you're on the Virgin Hotline. They said Bud's name on the radio? Oh, it's more of a jingle. If you're a virgin with hormone surgeon, keep on your undies and call Bud Bundy's Virgin Hotline. Catchy. I tell you, it's a lot better than that uh, jingle for the grocery store, and you better shop around. Foodies, we're a store with food and heart. Ugh. So anyway, Bud decides to get ready for his orientation, so he invites Kelly upstairs to insult him with inappropriate questions. Then Peggy walks in with a newspaper. Hey Al, guess what? They're having a sale at the video store. She shows, basically it's on the front page of the newspaper, and they basically set it up to where when we see from the other angle, on the back of the paper is a full page ad for the Bud Bundy on the Virgin Hotline. All right, and you're not going to believe what the phone number is. 1-800-ZIP-UP. ZIPPUP. Now, of course, you need one more number to make it a legitimate phone number. And of course, they did this on purpose because they don't want people to call up a particular, because it's 1-800, they don't want people calling up the number expecting to get a hold of the Virgin Hotline when it's actually somebody else. All right. So like Al originally, okay. Peggy wants Al to take her to the video store so they can go rent a movie. And Al originally refuses because they have cable and they can watch the best that TV has to offer right there on the television. Tonight, Tom Selleck in Mr. Baseball, followed by John Goodman in Keen Ralph. But first, Weens. I'll get the car. So Al decides eventually to go because he wants to watch something besides Wayne's. Okay. Jefferson he asks Al if he can stay in the Bundy household while Al and Peggy go to the video store because if he goes back to the house, he knows that like Jefferson's technically supposed to be at a unemployed anonymous meeting, and if Jefferson were to go back home, Marcy would know that he's not attending these meetings like he's supposed to be. So Al allows Jefferson to crash, and guess what? Okay, the first thing that Jefferson tunes on. Welcome to the Naked Jello Wrestling Championship. Al hears this. He tries to get back in the house. Hey! Ah! Peggy drags Al back out of the house. He wants to go back in the house and watch the Naked Jello Wrestling Championship. It's something I would want to watch too. But no. Peggy drags him back out of the house, and they're off to the video store. Then we head back to the college. We go into this office where the headquarters for the Virgin Hotline. Bud walks in, and guess who we have? The first of two guest appearances from one of the best characters Mary Children ever created, Miss Hardaway. Hi, I'm here for the Virgin Hotline. I'm a Bud Bundy, of course. Your face has chastity written all over it. No, basically, okay. I'll talk a little bit more about Miss Hardaway when I get to like the trivia part of it. But basically, Miss Hardaway had apparently founded the Virgin Hotline. She wants to save herself from sex before marriage. And she's so honored to have Bud there with her. Now, apparently, this must be a very embarrassing organization to work with. This probably explains why, um, like, the only person who's actually got to work for is Bud. Okay, sitting there talking about how all the different things they can be doing with instead of having sex, such as touching the bottom of a beautiful baby duck or collecting miniature unicorns, like what Hank Hill's mother did in an episode of King of the Hill. There is in King of the Hill. There's an episode like they wind up going. I don't know if it's Louisiana or Texas or something. They wind up going to some remote island. Um, he takes his mother and a few of her friends um, to some kind of island. They're going to go to this miniature museum. Meanwhile, all of these party animals, um, all these college students, they fled the island because it's spring break. Okay, but we'll save that for another episode. Okay, so Miss Hardaway discusses the ins and outs about the Virgin Hotline and basically asks Bud, "Can you do it?" Now, Bud's original thought was that he's asking like, "Can he do her?" I wouldn't mind doing her. But no, he's sitting there thinking, okay, and then Miss Hardaway asks again, and Bud says, and then he says, maybe we turn the lights off. Oh, oh, you mean the phones? Yeah, I can handle the phones. We got our first call. Thank you for calling the Virgin Hotline. This is your counselor, Eugene. Hi, my name is Isis J. Blowup Doll, and my boyfriend Bud hasn't been able to keep his hands off me ever since I came out of the box. Now, should I just stay firm or explode and go into a million pieces? Yeah, very funny, Cal. But I'm not gonna let you hold. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm pretty sure the trucker paid for the full hour. Crank call. Oh, we do get those quite often, Mr. Bundy. But don't take it personally. After all, they mock us because they envy us. Another one. Virgin Hotline. Hi, this is Buck. I'm wearing nothing but my fur. I miss you, Bud. I miss our special times together. Kelly, please. I love you truly. Woof, 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 woof. Oh, that's turning me on. Oh, calm down, Mr. Bundy. The phone rings again. What's the matter, Cal? Your bed out for repairs? Um, is this the right number? My name is Esther, and I thought I was calling the Virgin Hotline. Oh, we actually have a real call. So we have this girl, Esther, who's on the phone, and basically she's left by herself, and she's basically being tempted to sex. All right. She's watching this Bugle Boys jeans commercial. Miss Hardaway gives Bud the handbook and asks him to go to the television section. Think about the Zima guy from the Zima commercials. It's not working. Now Melo's Place is coming on. Billy's taking his shirt off. Oh, we have a code red. So Miss Hardaway gives Bud her car keys, puts on the official Virgin Hotline hat titled "Never Have It, Never Will." Has him take the handbook and her car keys and the hat, and runs off to the house and runs off to Esther's house. And of course, Miss Hardaway is going to call from the car with the address to Esther's house. Oh, and Bud, you have a. Wait. Oh, and Bud, you have a wonderful looking tush. has a huge crush on Bud. And this is something we will see again in season 10's Bud Hits the Books. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to um, our review. All right. So Bud eventually finds Esther's house, and of course he's expecting an ugly-looking woman. Oh, Esther! With a name like that, I should have brought a dog chewing toy. Ding ding! Turns out Esther is a beautiful-looking woman, and Bud wants her bad. But of course, as a volunteer for the Virgin Hotline, he's not allowed to have her. Hi, I'm Esther. Save me! All right. We then go to commercials. We're gonna take a quick break real fast. We then head off to the video store in part two. After commercials, we head off to the video store. But Al and Peggy are in there looking for a movie. As they walk in, they see a display by the entrance door for a movie called Dutch. It was a 1991 film starring Ed O'Neill. We'll talk a little about Dutch later on, but basically, in order to uh, because the movie does have Ed O'Neill's face on it, they basically covered up the poster and all the copies of the movies with the phrase "free video." All right. Peggy picks it up, looks at it for a second, puts it right back. No way. Okay. Now, all we have to do is find one movie that we can both watch. Hey, Peg, look at this. Die, scum sucking pig, die. Ray Walston and Sherman Hemsley in an haunted house, Peg. Al, you have rented that 25 times already. It's good. Well, how about this one? 4 weddings and a funeral. That's 5 of the same thing, isn't it? What about this one? WrestleMania bloopers. You gotta take their honeymoon for that. Okay, Al, why don't we just go our separate ways? Oh, after all these years? Thank you, Peg. Al tries to run out of the video store, but Peg stops him. No. I meant in the video store, Al. Find something we can both enjoy. And be serious, Al. Hey, Dorf on skiing. We then head back to Esther's residency, where Bud and Esther are exchanging words. Okay. So, a virgin, huh? I can't begin to tell you how tough it is today for a woman to maintain her chastity. Every single girl I know is just preoccupied with sex. They'll have it with anyone, anywhere, anytime. Well, if you just give me their names, their photos, and their phone numbers, I'll get to the bottom of them. I mean of it. The bottom of it. No, Bud, please don't leave before my mother gets home. If I take my eyes off you, I know I'll get all horny again. Ooh. Esther, you are making me horny as it is. I'm glad to be of service. Can I get you something to drink? You got anything fresh squeezed? I'll see. I'm really sorry to drag you out on a Friday night like this, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate an organization like yours, Bud. I don't understand what's wrong with this world. Everywhere you look, temptation. She opens up the little fridge on the bottom of the bar to go find something fresh squeeze. We see Esther's ass sticking out. Bud is so turned on, but of course, because he works for the Virgin Hotline, he has to take his minds off of it, and you know exactly what he's gonna do. Zima guy. Roseanne. Oh! Oh, just looking at Esther makes me all horny. That's the trouble with reviewing some of these episodes. You get turned on with some of these people. Esther and Amber and Ariel, just to name a few. All right. We then head back to the video store where Al and Peg are still looking for a movie. Peg, Dieselhead, a man and a monster truck exchange brains? Like immediately as this will make a bad movie. Look, Al, you have said no to every movie I've chosen because every movie you choose sucks. Fried green tomato sucks? Everyone in the store, yes. Look, Al, obviously we're not going to find anything. Obviously we're not going to find anything. I mean, why should movies be any different than sex? You can't eat popcorn when you're having sex, Al or Peg. Al, just find something that would please the both of us, and do not go into the adult section. I don't even know what the adult section is. Oh, yes, he does. He goes sneaking right in there, and right above, adult XXX. Ah, here are the classics. Schindler's Lust, Booty and the Beast, and my favorite, Forrest Hump. Oh, excuse me. No problem. Marcy. Al, it's not what you think. Well, that's good because I think I'm going to heave. I've just been monitoring porn for my women's group. We are sick of films that exploit and degrade women, and we're not going to take it anymore. Meanwhile, the video store clerk comes in with two porno tapes that Marcy has pretty much put on reserve. Here are the tapes you asked to hold for you, ma'am. Silence of the Loins and the Joy Slut Club. Shall we just charge us for your house account? Fine. I'm taking these home to erase them. Let us show you, men. She runs out with the clerk. Do you have condoms? And apparently Peggy has found out that Al has snuck into the adult section because she walks in there at ease without being creeped out whatsoever. Oh, Al, look what I found. Like water for chocolate. It's a love story. What a coincidence, Peg. I found a love story too. Mrs. Aspire. Water, fire, water, fire. All right, Al, that's it. You get what you want. I'm going home. Oh no, Peg, this could be good. Biggins Magazine Guide gives this two things up. Al, I am not checking out porn. Now you would think that at the video store of 10,000 tapes, we could find at least one movie that we could both. Butch Cassidy. Oh, Al. Now here's a movie we can agree on. You remember when we were dating? We saw this at the drive-in. I remember we saw half of it. You know, I still got the impound of the Dodge logo on my back. I can't believe you still have that car. And I can't believe I still have you. Where were we, Peg? Sharing a tender moment? Oh, yes. You remember they kicked us out for making too much noise? Well, you were hurting me, Peg. Well, we sure made it for up gladly that night in my father's hall closet. Oh, Al. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Mrs. Aspire? No! Okay, Butch Cassidy is. Oh, good! I heard he has a happy ending. Meanwhile, there is a lady that was shopping around the video store around the same time that Al and Peg were looking for their video. All right, she's about to leave and she gets busted by security, and you know why? Because that copy of Mrs. Assfire that Al had wanted, Peggy had snatched it from Al's hands, threw it in the air, and it winded up in the lady's purse. The lady, of course, does not know that it's in her purse because it just slips in there incidentally, and she gets busted at the exit door. All right, spread him, thief. Al and Peg look at us. Hey, look at that, Peg. You know what? Some people just have no respect for the personal property of others. I don't get it. She then takes a button. Right in front of her is a candy display, and one of the things that's on that display is Raisinets. Okay, she takes the box of Raisinets and inhales the whole thing down her throat and puts the box right back on the display as if nothing ever happened. Okay, I think I should talk a little bit about. Let's talk about Raisinets real quick before we, if it will, if this damn thing will let me. All right, just gotta give me 1 second here. Raisin, it is a candy, I know for sure. There we go. So Raisinets is a chocolate. It's the Nestle brand. It's a chocolate covered raisin manufactured by Nestle. All right, and basically it's a candy consisting of individual raisins coated in a shell of milk, dark or white chocolate. A wide variety of different products that they sell. So in some countries they're known as Raisinets, which is the earliest and one of the most popular brands of product often currently made by Ferrera, a subsidiary of Ferrera SPA. Raisinets were introduced in the United States by 1927 by the Bloomfield Chocolate Company. Ferrero acquired the brand in 2018 from Nestle, who had briefly expanded the brand to include white chocolate covered dried cranberries and dried cherries from late 2009 to 2013. Okay, and a large number of other brands also exist, including in the United Kingdom, there's chocolate raisins considered a classic sweet shop confectionery and can be found in many supermarkets in plastic sharing bags under supermarket branding and in corner shops. When Christmas comes around, chocolate raisins are also sold with milk, white, and dark chocolate coatings as a festive treat in box packaging. In Canada, the Gloizette brand consists of various chocolate-covered candies, including raisins, which are usually sold in resealable rigid cardboard boxes as opposed to plastic bags. In Australia, the sweets are more commonly referred to as chocolate-covered sultanas rather than raisins. There is no particular prominent brand in the market in Australia, although chocolate-covered sultanas are produced by some large local confectionaries and are also on behalf of supermarket chains in store brand versions. Okay, so then so that's it was made by Nestle at the time of this episode. All right, we head back to the to Esther's residency, and apparently Esther and Bud are playing Scrabble. Okay, and Esther had just found a word for her to make. Melons. Melons. Your turn. It's Bud's turn to play, and what he has in front of him, he has this phrase: "Take her," and the audience goes rowdy. Yeah. So, what do you have, Bud? Nothing I can use. He doesn't want to use anything because he's afraid that he's gonna lose Esther. Anyway, Esther's mother finds her way. She winds up coming home. Oh, Mama! Mom! This is my friend Bud. He's from, I know, the Virgin Hotline. I saw your picture on the side of a bus. You wouldn't happen to know where that bus is so I can jump in front of it. They're everywhere, hon. Now, Esther, it's off upstairs. Now it's time for you to go upstairs and do your homework. Say goodbye to Bud. Esther thanks Bud for everything and heads upstairs. And Bud tells her to keep in touch. But of course, the mother is a little sick with. She's not too fond of the way he said it because he's afraid that she he's not too thrilled. Okay, with the way he said it because she feels like he's going to go on to her. Oh, Bud, I can't thank you for everything. If there was a Virgin Hotline when I was her age, I might have known who her father was. Well, knowing who your father is isn't always what it's cracked up to be. I really want to thank you again, Bud. Is there any way I could repay you? No, not at all. According to our guidelines, we're not allowed to take any compensation. Even these? She opens up her jacket and exposes her breasts in front of Bud. And of course, Bud, he can't take it anymore, and he basically makes up an excuse. Doesn't say anything about tips, turns his cap upside down, and he's ready to hump Esther's mother. Well, so much for the Bundy. So much for the Virgin Hotline motto. Reach out and touch yourself. I don't want anybody else. When I think about you, I touch myself. Oh, I don't want anybody else. I know. I just had to say that because the motto really is reach out and touch yourself, and that song comes into mind the first time as soon as we hear that. Okay, we finish up the episode in the Bundy living room. Okay, Buck is on the couch watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. We hear the famous song "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head" in the background. Kelly comes walking down the stairs in a sexy black dress. Mom, Dad, I'm going out. Mom, Dad. She finds the movie cover next to Buck. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Now, why would you rent a movie and not watch it? It's kind of like renting a hotel room and not ripping off the honor bar. Old people do the dumbest things. She goes into the closet, and apparently Peggy, as soon as Kelly opens the door, Peggy, hands Kelly her sweater and shuts the door. Thank you. And then Kelly realizes what's going on. Now, apparently, it turns out that Alan Peg, they started watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and they had gotten so turned on with this movie that they started to make out in the closet, like they did when they were younger. Okay? And that is the end of the episode. All right? So why don't we go and let's dig into the trivia, shall we? All right. So that's so well, we have to go through a handful of guest stars. So we have Monica Lacey, who plays Esther. Uh, Monica Creel is supposed to be the Monica Creel. That's in parentheses from Esther. So basically, Monica Lacey. Oh, okay. Monica Monica Lacey is her no name right now, but her birth name is Monica Creel. So that explains it right there. Born on August 27, 1970 in L.A., she basically made one appearance on Married Children. And yeah, she's only her only involvement on Married Children was this episode, and a damn shame too because I would have loved to see more of Esther. She was see, in addition to her episode here, she also oh, here's one thing you're going to be interested in. Lacey is an identical triplet who, along with her sisters Leanna and Joy Creel, started in as they started acting in the late 1980s. They appeared together in two television movies aired on A Wonderful World of Disney, which were The Parent Trap 3 and Parent Trap 4 Hawaiian Honeymoon. Lacey holds a bachelor's degree in English literature at UCLA and she completed its professional screenwriting program as well. All right, the Creel sisters. They also appeared together in Growing Pains and Beverly Hills 90210. Let's see. Her sisters eventually chose paths away from the spotlight. Monica began appearing in several popular TV shows, including Seinfeld and Fox's Party of Five. All right. So I would have loved to see more of that. We have Rhonda Aldridge, who plays Judy, and I don't know if this is Is this Esther's mother? Oh yeah. Okay. We don't know. Okay, there is no damn pop-up ads. Okay. So yeah, Rhonda does play. She, she does play Esther's mother, and this is the only episode she's appeared in. She also appeared in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and also did voice role in Rainbow Bright and appearances in soap operas Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives, as well as the primetime show Walker, Texas Ranger. Okay, we don't have a birth date for her. We have Bodie Elfman, who plays the clerk in the video store. His name at the time was Bodie Pine Elfman. We also have Phil Lodwick, who plays the security guard in the video store. Now, when you have security guards in your business, you can probably tell that the business that this might not be a place you might want to be in because, like, you can. It is so the crime in this place is so high. All right. Now I know WalMarts that wind up having they have to have police officers in the store watching the exit door at all times because apparently like there must be these particular stores must be very high in crime. You see a police officer outside of a Walmart, that might tell you like, that probably tells you a lot about what that store is like. All right, just to name that for example. Okay. We also okay, but we're also going to talk about Beverly Archer. She plays Miss Hardaway. Okay, we'll talk. This is the one I really want to talk about. She was born on July 19th, 1948, appeared in two episodes of Married Children as Miss Hardaway. She basically, Miss Hardaway is a sexually repressed librarian and abstinence counselor who is heavily obsessed with Bud. Okay? Who is heavily obsessed with Bud. She was born in Oak Park, Illinois, U.S., and she's mostly famous for her roles as Iola Bolin on Mama's Family and Gunnery Sergeant Elva Bricker on Major Dad. Okay, those are the two roles that she's appeared in. In the other episode of Married Children that Beverly Archer plays Miss Hardaway is in Bud Hits the Bucks. This is an episode that I have already reviewed with the Married Children podcast team. We reviewed that back in we recorded that episode in late April with about a week and um, it was about a week or so prior to its air date. All right, this one was recorded at the last minute, but basically that was a very fun one to review. And basically, in that Miss Hardaway is a librarian who basically checks books. Bud is studying for final exams, and he goes to the library to study. He runs into Miss Hardaway. Miss Hardaway suggests a private study room, which unfortunately had a surveillance camera in it. And basically, she had marked off the sexually explicit, the, the sexiest parts of the textbook in an effort to get him sexually aroused to a point where Miss Hardaway can she can go to town with him. Okay, that's in it. Even though I've already reviewed, I encourage you to go check that review out on the Married Children podcast, and I'll post a video link on my description to this video, so you can check that out. And I would not mind reviewing that again. All right, that most of what would have to say about that episode, I've already said in the Married Children podcast, but I would not mind reviewing that one again, and that would probably come. I wouldn't mind. That one might come sooner than later. All right, but we'll see how that turns out. All right, so let's go through. We have some notes we have to go through here. So, the title of the episode is a spoof on Alfred Hitchcock thriller film Dial M for Murder. Al and Peggy reveal that they watched Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid at a drive-in theater back when they were dating in high school. I think I do have to talk. I might as well talk a little bit about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, since especially if some of you guys are not too familiar with it. It is a 1969 American Western film directed by George Roy Hill and written by William Goldman. Basically loose on fact, the film tells the story of Wild West outlaws Robert Leroy Parker, also known as Butch Cassidy, and his partner Harry Lonabelle, known as the Sundance Kid, who are on the run from a crack U.S. posse after a string of train robberies. The pair's Sundance lover at a place, they all flee to Bolivia to escape the posse. All right. Butch Cassidy was played by Paul Newman. The Sundance Kid was played by Robert Redford. Etta Place was played by Catherine Ross, who is best known for playing Elaine Robinson in the 1967 film The Graduate. Let's see. We know Catherine Ross is still alive today. She's 82 years. She was 29 when the film was made. Quick fact that I should share about this film is that they wind up the Bolivia scenes were actually filmed down in Mexico. Okay, and while they were down there, like the water. Okay, most of the cast they wind up drinking the water down there, and the water, like when you go down to Mexico, you do not want to drink their water because they do not have the same sanitary practices that are used here in the States. All right, they drink the tap water. They got diarrhea, but Redford, Newman, and Ross they all drank soda during the whole time that they were filming the Bolivia scene down in Mexico, and that prevented them from having the violent diarrhea that the other cast members wind up suffering from. Okay, this film was selected in 2003 to be in the U.S. National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. In 1990, see, in 2007, in 2007, let's see, this film was voted in 1998 by the American Film Institute as the 50th greatest film of all time. When the list was redone in 2007, it dived down to number 73. Okay, just goes to show you how the taste of music has changed in the last. Just goes to show you how big of a taste in movies can go within a less than 10-year span. Okay, the song "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head" was written for this movie, and it was one of the 100 greatest movie songs of all time. The version that you hear in the film was actually performed by the song's writer himself, Burt Bacharach, who is still alive today at the age of 94 at the time of this review. He is mostly famous for like he is an American composer, songwriter, record producer, and pianist. He's written hundreds of pop songs from the late 50s through the 80s and has collaborated many of them with music lyricist Hal David. Okay, um, let's see. Some of the songs he's written that have topped the Billboard Top 100. This Guy's in Love with You from 1968, which was performed by Herb Alpert. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head from 1969, which was performed by B.J. Thomas. They Long to Be Close to You from 1970, featuring the Carpenters. Arthur's Theme, Best That You Can Do from 1981. And That's What Friends Are For. This song was originally a Rod Stewart song from 1982, but Bacharach he recomposed the song for Diane Warwick and Friends. It was a charity, which was used as a charity fundraiser for AIDS. They raised about $3 million for that. Um, let's see. This one right here. Let's see. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head also won the Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1970 for okay. In 1970, when they were honoring the best of the films from 1969. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, they were nominated for a bunch of Oscars. One of the Oscars that they wound up winning for was Best Original Song, Rain Drops Keep Falling on My Head. And Burt Bacharach also won an Oscar for Best Original Music Score. So both of these came from Butch Cassidy, and rightfully so. Another thing I want to add. In 2005, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid had aired on the FX networks. I know that, I remember when Butch Cassidy aired on FX. It was in July of 2005, and immediately after this broadcast, immediately after they filmed that movie, this particular episode of Married Children hit the air. So, Married Children came out immediately after Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and Dial B for Virgin was the episode that wound up airing in its place. And I think they did that on purpose because it features Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But that's got to be a funny coincidence there. Okay? Let's see. After Kelly tells Al that the phone number for the Virgin Hotline, Bud calls Bud calls Kelly and Al Gomer and Piles, which is reference to the fictional character Gomer Pyle from the Andy Griffith Show and its spin-off Gomer Pyle USMC. And the name is usually associated with someone who is dumb and slow. Okay. At the beginning of the episode, Al is disappointed that all the channels are showing the NBC series Wings. It was a popular NBC sitcom that ran from 1990 to 1997 that was created by the same team that created Cheers. The series has been mentioned in several past episodes of Married Children as a source of disappointment for Al. Married Children guest star Abraham Benrubi had an occurring role on the show Wings. Okay, and those of you wondering who this guy was, he basically had two appearances on Married Children. He played the baby towards the end of She's Having My Baby Part 1, and there was an uncredited role. But the one role that he was more famous for, he played Cousin Jimmy in Season 7's Wedding Repercussions. All right? Those are the two episodes that he appeared on, and that's who that was. All right? As Al defends his choice to stay home and watch cable instead of going to the video store, television announces two films and wins before Al changes his mind at least with Peggy. The first one was Mr. Baseball, which is a 1992 baseball film starring Tom Selleck as a New York Yankees first baseman who is traded to a Japanese baseball team and has to adjust to a new lifestyle abroad. And then the King Ralph is a 1991 comedy film starring John Goodman as an American who becomes the unlikely king of the United Kingdom after an electrical accident wipes out the entire British royal family. What the hell? Miss Hardaway tells Bud that he has to be the caller's cold shower during heavy Jimmy Smith's reruns of L.A. Law. L.A. Law was an NBC legal drama that ran from 1986 to 1994, while Jimmy Smith plays Victor Sufentes in the first 5 seasons of the show. At one point, Esther mentions getting excited about a Bugle Boy jeans commercial. Bugle Boy was a brand of men's and boys' clothing, primarily focused on denim jeans. It had reached its peak during the 1980s and eventually filed for bankruptcy in 2001. Bud tries to keep Esther calm by telling her, now think of the guy from the Zima commercials. And then later he says, Zima guy, Zima guy. Zima is basically a clear carbonated alcoholic beverage that was first introduced in 1993 during the clear craze, competing with soda brand Pepsi, who made a clear version of their soda called Crystal Pepsi a year earlier. The Zima guy is played by actor Roger Kabler, a guy dressed in an oversized dress suit and derby hat, who would replace the S with a Z in words during his talk about why Zima is different. The beverage and Zima guy were often mocked for being a beverage for people who could not handle beer, and the Zima guy for being an unattractive hipster. After Bud starts thinking about the Zima guy, he quickly changes to Roseanne in reference to the comedian and actress Roseanne Barr Arnold. Esther later gets excited about Billy from Melrose Place, which was a Fox primetime drama that ran from 1992 to 1999 and was part of the Beverly Hills 90210 franchise. The show focused on lives several young on the lives of several young adults living in an apartment complex in West Hollywood and their romantic relationships. In the video store, right by the entrance, we see Dutch along with several video cassettes with a sticker that says free video. This film, like I said before, it starred Ed O'Neill and was a box office failure, earning less than $5 million on a $17 million budget, and also received negative reviews from critics. As such, the free video stick is placed over Ed O'Neill's face in the posters and cassettes. And I think they did that on purpose because they did not want to, um, because they did not want to show Al Bundy's face on that movie. Okay. The film was previously mocked in season 6 episode English Show Part 1 when they're flying from Chicago to London when Al's foot odor causes the pilot and chokes it causes the pilot to choke and tells Peggy, "Oh, please. They show us the movie Dutch and they think I stink." Along with Dutch, several other movie posters and VHS covers can be seen or are mentioned, including but not limited to Groundhog Day, So I Married an Axe Murder, Bugsy, Sidekicks, Hero, Ghostbusters 2, Cops and Robertsons, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Like Water for Chocolate, Fried Green Tomatoes, Butch Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid. At one point, Al tells Pegs that he found Dorf on Scheme. Dorf is a fictional character characterized by his diminutive height and fake Swedish accent. The character appeared in a string of sports instructional themed videos, though Dorf on Scheme is not a real film. Dorf was actually created and played by Tim Conway, who would later play Peggy's father Ephraim Wanker in the season throughout the 10th season of Married with Children. When Peggy disapproves of his movie choice Dieselhead, he tells her that Emilio Estevez would make a bad movie. Emilio Estevez is an American actor and director. He acted alongside his brother Charlie Sheen and father Martin Sheen. So he is affiliated with the Sheen family. Not sure how, but he is. Some of Emilio Estevez's works include the 1983 film The Outsiders, the 1985 film The Breakfast Club, and the 1992 Disney film The Mighty Ducks, and its um, two sequels throughout the 90s. The adult films that Al and the video clerk reads the titles are parodies of real films. Okay, Schindler's Lust is a parody of the 1993 Best Picture Schindler's List. Booty and the Beast is a parody to the 1991 Disney film Beauty and the Beast. Um, Forrest Hump is a parody to the 1994 Best Picture Forrest Gump. Silence of the Loins is a parody to the 1991 Best Picture Silence of the Lambs. The Joy Slut Club is a parody to the 1989 novel and 1993 drama film The Joy Luck Club, which is basically about relations between Chinese American women and their Chinese immigrant mothers. Okay? And Mrs. Asphyre, a parody of the 1993 comedy Mrs. Doubtfire, featuring Robin Williams and Sally Field. Bud and Esther appear to be playing Scrabble, but the letter tiles do not have point values on them. The appearance of the tiles may have been changed to avoid copyright infringement, and in fact, I think they were. Okay, and we already heard about that. Let's see. The phone number for the Virgin Hotline 1-800-ZIPPUP zip up. It needs one more digit to be a legitimate phone number, and I've already mentioned that basically the reason why this was done was because they did not want people calling um, an actual 1-800 number thinking they'd be getting a Virgin Hotline. Okay. What they should have done, they should have done something like they did on Saturday Night Live. Okay, there's a one clip from the '90s where Tim Meadows, he's playing O.J. Simpson as a what O.J. Simpson was playing O.J. Simpson in a NFL commentator for NBC, and when he basically says 1-600 murder. Okay, they probably should have done something like that in an effort to get off the censors for that. So now for my review for this episode. This episode was perfect. All right, It inspired me to stay. This was my introduction to Married Children, like I mentioned before. It inspired me to stay with the show. Okay. A and B plots I absolutely loved. Video stores, something you younger viewers may not know, but basically, from the early '80s through the 2000s, even in the 2010s, there is such a thing as video stores. Okay, the biggest chain of all was Blockbuster, which ironically there's only one location left in the U.S. Compared to hundreds, if not thousands, of locations during its peak in the 80s and 90s. Okay. There's also Hollywood Video was another major brand as well, and then but they have long since gone out of business. Other minor video rental chains include there's a Video Factory, which we had back in New York when I was there as a kid. We rented videos all the time as a kid, and then eventually stopped doing it after I got in trouble with the law. After I wind up sneaking a movie out, not knowing that I was supposed to pay for it. Basically, so we stopped. We rented movies briefly after that, but they basically got taken over by Blockbuster by that point. We also, let's see, there's also Video Village, which was out in Phoenix when I first moved out. Around the time we moved out, were in the process of going out of business. Okay, but none of these video stores that I have mentioned, they did not have an adult section. So I wouldn't even know anything about adult sections for video stores, but they're they're very secretive, and people they seem to be humiliated to go into these places because like smut is not something you normally want to talk about in general public. All right, but anyway, I love the video store scene. I loved um, Bud's storylines with the Virgin Hotline, Miss Hardaway, one of the best out there. Um, Esther, she could make me horny any day of the week. Not to, in addition to a few other characters on Married Children. But anyway, I'm going to give this episode overall a 5 out of 5. That's how much I love this episode. Okay? Well, unfortunately, that's all we have for today. Mr. Wildcat is too horny to move on, so he has to sign off, and we'll be back later on down the road with another classic episode of Married Children. And until the next time we meet, Mr. Wildcat reminding you to keep your pants up and be good, be careful, and behave.